Hello everyone, welcome. I'm very happy to celebrate the season 2 of the ultimate French wine experience. We are here in the south of France and we are going to try different wines from all the estates of the region. And I am very happy today because we have a very special guest. You know, my friend Andreas Larsson, who was the best sommelier in the world in 2007, who is also a global traveler and who like to travel in order to discover the wine in the different countries, fall in love with the beauty of the south of France. And today he's going to share with me the tasting. Welcome, Andreas. How are you?
Thank you very much, Gerard. Always great to be here. Sun is shining, wines are good, and I'm happy.
Yeah, you know, and of course, this is also very important for me because I like to taste wine with Andreas because he has a 360 degree experience as well as a background of chef. Yep. Because Andreas is also a chef, and this is also important for me and for him to pair the wine with food.
Yeah, and I think that very much speaking about food and wine pairing, to me that's not about exact science, it's about having good products, which is the most important thing. I like simplicity. Occasionally, you know, experimental can be fun, but for great wines, I like simplicity and taste.
Yeah, and today we are going to taste 8 wines, yes? White, rosé, and red from different appellations. Just to be back to the origin, you know. My father started in this business in the beginning of the 60s, and he was a source of inspiration for me. Georges Bertrand was a pioneer, you know, and he taught me his passion for the south of France, and also he taught me in order to reveal the terroir from the Languedoc, you know, from Corbière, Boutenac, Minervois, Saint-Chinian, and the others. And I travel very often with him in this beautiful landscape, and I know that you like to travel and to discover yourself the different terroirs from the region.
Yeah, and I mean, the Languedoc is such a patchwork of different soils, of different types of climate, and I mean, quality wine in the Languedoc hasn't been that well known for. It's a quite short history. I mean, the last 20, 30 years. I mean, your father was really one of the pioneers of, at the time of high volume and very big cooperatives making simple wine. And I think we are still seeing the sophistication going on when we see the appellations like Terrasse du Larzac or Minervois, La Livinière, Corbière, Boutenac. So we're closing a system which is more equal to the more established or regions with longer history.
Yeah, and step by step, you know, the first step was to create very good wines. And then, of course, in the beginning of the 2000s, I have taken the decision to move from conventional agriculture to biodynamic agriculture. And it was a lesson for all of us. We start with 4 acres. Now we have 2,000 acres converted to the biodynamic agriculture. We have seen a lot of changes, Andreas, because the wines are much better. We have better acidity. We have more fineness, more elegance, more complexity. And also the potential of aging is dramatically different because now we can keep the wine for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, and of course I think that's important. I mean, first of all, going organic, not to poison nature and using chemicals, but then the next step. I think it's not always very comprehensible to people when you speak about the biodynamics because it's not really easy to understand. But I think what we've seen, first of all, of course, if you follow a wine after conversion, when we speak about the harmony of tannins, of the acidities, but also when you look in the vineyards, you know, when we see the vintages like 2009 or the very hot and dry vintages, the vine adapts much more to this. If you look at a lot of the organic or the conventional farming, vineyards didn't feel very well in some of those hot and dry years.
This is also amusing what's happened with the sommelier, Andreas, because the sommelier are game changer. Because they were the first to believe 15 to 20 years ago about the potential of these wines.
Yeah, very much so. And of course, if you look today, there's a myriad of the world-class producers being biodynamic, which sort of explained it to me. At first, I was a bit skeptical, which it's good to be skeptical, but in the end the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the bottle, and there's a big difference between a good wine or a great wine.
Now I think it's time to start and to have the first glass of wine.
Let's go.
Okay, Andreas, this is the first wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome. And we are in Domaine de l'Aigle, you know, and Domaine de l'Aigle is in Roquetaillade, a very small village close by Limoux. Limoux is as well as an appellation, and we are in altitude. We are between 400 meters to 500 meters. That means we are above 1,200 feet. That's why, you know, it's best place for the Chardonnay. And the 2020 vintage was great. You know, we had a lot of freshness, a good weather condition during the summer as well as during the harvest time. And the wine has been aged in oak, Andreas, for 7 months.
And I think that this is a prime example because, of course, Limoux is, there are 4 distinct climate zones, and here we are in the Haute Vallée, which is the highest part, and there's more oceanic influence. We also have much cooler nights, so this is, I would say this is a very Burgundian interpretation from the south of France because the limestone soils are also giving that kind of chalky, flinty note we get. I think there's a very good oak integration and combining really the sunshine, the generosity of the fruit, the yellow stone fruit, but we do have that fine toasted hazelnut, the nuttiness, and plenty of freshness on the finish. So very digest, yet being creamy and generous.
Yeah, you know, it's important for us to try to keep the perfect balance, you know. And Andreas says, you know, of course, Chardonnay in Burgundy is a treat. And what we don't want to compete with Burgundy, but it's a great example of a perfect balance of Chardonnay. And what we do in Limoux is just to pick up the grape with enough acidity. 30% of the wine we do the malolactic in order also to develop the complexity and the fat, you know, in the wine. But the most important thing is the balance. That's why we spend a lot of time for making the blend in order to have a length, but also a finish, a crispy finish.
Yeah, very, and as I said, I think it's you feel the sunshine, generosity, but on the finish is more on the chalky, on the salty side. Very gastronomic.
Yeah, and what do you think about the best food and wine pairing for you?
Well, one of my staples for this style of wine is a sweet bread with crushed hazelnuts and plenty of browned butter. That's, I mean, sweet bread, you don't eat it every day, but something in that direction, or a pan-fried white fish with almonds, hazelnuts, and I like that buttery, nutty interaction.
I fully agree, and I hope to share with you guys and Andreas this great recipe. Let's move to the next wine. Okay, this is a white from Château L'Hospitalet, vintage 2019. Château L'Hospitalet is very unique. You know, this is a wine resort. We brand new everything, and I hope that you enjoyed your room yesterday.
This is a very nice place.
Yeah, you know, and we have a beautiful suite now, and of course we have 2 restaurants, and we open also this year a beach restaurant nearby the Mediterranean, and we really enjoy to share the lifestyle from the south of France and making the link between the wine, the gastronomy, the culture of the region, and art. You know, we organize also every year a wonderful jazz festival. But I have a secret for you before we start to drink the wine. You are also a musician.
Yes, well, my 3 big passions in life are gastronomy, wine, and jazz. Apart from that, I don't know a lot.
Yeah, but you play guitar as well.
Yes.
You know, I hope that next year we will be able to make a concert during the masterclass, but we have to wait 1 more year. Let's start with the wine. You know, we are in a special terroir, and this is a limestone terroir. We have 4 grape varieties, and as you know, Bourboulen is very single varieties from La Clappe, and then we have Grenache Blanc, Vermentino and a touch of Viognier.
And I think this is a good, I mean, the Viognier, which is in a quite small percentage, but it still gives a slight perfume. Otherwise, I think this is a very honest Southern French wine, because you feel that more of that quite discreet aromatic, but some of those aromatic herbs. And I also think this is a style because this is a quite sunny place. People tend to think about, you know, big, rich wines, but going outside, you always feel the wind, because we can see the sea from here. So there's always that, and it reminds me of a lot of wines coming from close to the sea, where it's debatable whether we can actually feel the salt in wine, but I don't care. I will call this a very chalky and a very salty sensation. It has the texture and unctuousness of a wine from the south, but it does have that very nicely piercing chalkiness on the finish.
Yeah, and this is also very important for us to respect the character of the terroir. That means we don't want to make a wine over body, you know, and so on. We want to keep the, you know, the sense of place and to deliver the sense of place to people. That means, as you said, this is a wine medium body with a strong minerality, with, you know, you salivate in your mouth, which is very important, because this wine is very good, you know, when you want to have a glass in order to start maybe the lunch. And what do you recommend with this wine?
To this wine, I would do something which is not too, complicated. I would think of something which is quite traditional from this area, which is a sea bass or a monkfish in a salt crust. It looks advanced, but it's quite easy to make. And then you only have the purity of the flesh from the fish. And in here we have the citric notes, we have the Mediterranean herbs. We could have it perhaps with a mussel broth with some herbs in.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah, me too. This is a good choice. Let's move to the next wine, please. Now we are at Cigalius Estate, and this is a very special wine for me, very close to my heart, because this is where I live. And this is where we start in 2002 to experiment the biodynamic practices. And we have a vineyard, we do one white and one red. And the white is a blend of Chardonnay, Viognier, and Sauvignon Blanc. And I create this wine, you know, and my idea was to use 3 of the best white grape varieties and to blend it, because it's very rare to see this kind of blend in the world. And for me, the Chardonnay, you know, give the structure, the Viognier develop the aromas, and the Sauvignon keeps the freshness. Do you agree?
Very much, and I think that in this case, only the Chardonnay is going through the malolactic for the creaminess. The others are no malolactic, so you keep that freshness. And I think this is a very interesting style too, because of course you mostly work with only Southern French varieties, but there's a funny story about how these non-traditional varieties ended up there, right?
Yeah, you know, it's the previous owner of Cigalius, you know, was a lawyer, and he lived in Paris, you know, and his passion was hunting parties, you know, and because, you know, he was not anymore in good relationship with the president of the Corbière area, he has decided to plant, you know, international grapes. And when I bought this place in 1995, I have decided to follow this trend and to pay a tribute to him. And this is amusing because in the south of France, we have 65 different grape varieties. That means we can answer all the needs of the consumers. And when you imagine the different grapes, the different soils, the different climate, and the different altitude, it's an amazing combination. That means my passion was to reveal, and is always to reveal, the sense of place and also the message coming from the different appellations. And with this wine, it was another experience. The experience was to challenge the best white and red coming from the New World.
And it's certainly a more, let's say, flamboyant in interpretation.
Yeah.
If you didn't know the wine, it would be perhaps difficult to pinpoint in a blind tasting. But nonetheless, I find it being very exotic, and it's an interesting blend, and the red is even more a complex blend. We'll come to that later. But nonetheless, I really like this flamboyant stone fruit. We have that lush yellow peach. We have the ripe citrus notes. We have some aromatic herbal notes. We speak about garrigue all the time in southern France, which is of course the wild bushes growing in and around the vineyards that somehow impart some of their character to the wine.
And for food and wine pairing, what do you recommend with this flamboyant wine?
Well, I would do a flamboyant dish, something like like scallops with some Asian influence. Imagine pan-seared scallops in a sauce with some lemongrass, some slightly spicy, perhaps a hint of chili, and coconut milk, something in that direction. Of course, being in this place, I would think about something that you would serve in a traditional restaurant, in one of my favorite staples in life, a perfectly roasted chicken, potato puree, and some chanterelle mushrooms in seasons. Voila.
Perfect. We will do it here chez Paul. Let's move to the next wine. I always remember the first time I have opened the gate. I fall in love with the beauty of the place, with the biodiversity surrounding the vineyard, and also with the quality of the soil and the subsoil made with schist and limestone. And I receive the intuition to create there the best rosé in the world. Benjamin, we are here in the middle of the clos.
Yes, for sure. 12 hectares, 11 plots and 5 grape varieties, Cinsault, Grenache, and then Syrah and Mourvèdre, and a hint of Viognier.
This parcel, with its old vine, is a sanctuary of the estate. We work with biodynamics and the aid of a mule. I have an immense and profound respect for this old plot with these old vines shaping by the time. That's why, for me, this plot is remarkable.
It's time to enter the temple. This place is dedicated to making the one and unique rosé of the Clos du Temple. The message is terroir, time, and transcendence. I will open the door and I invite you to follow me. We are here in the middle of the cellar, but I can say that we are here in the middle of the pyramid. These shapes are unique in the world. We are here to reinforce the verticality during the fermentation process.
During the harvest, after a season of taking care of the vine, we decide to pick up each parcel at the right level of maturity. The grapes spend one night in a cold room, and then by gravity we put the must in the different vat. So you can see each plot for each vat. And at the middle of the fermentation, we transfer the vine into the barrel cellar that we can see.
The dimensions of the aging cellar are remarkable. And the 6 megalith coming from limestone of the area has been sculpted on site.
We use only French oak from the best French forests like Jupille and Tronchet, and we fill the Cinsault and Grenache in the 500-liter barrel, Syrah, Mourvèdre and Viognier in the 225-liter barrels.
We are in the Clos du Temple reception hall. Here, the nature is our guest. It is beautified by the large window. Now we are at the Clos du Temple, and I know that you really enjoy to visit with me the new cellar. With this wine also, we want to explain to the world that rosé now is in the world of Grand Vin.
And I have to say that this is really an ambitious effort because this is only 12 hectares, but very old vines and very low yields and 11 parcels. And seeing this is a very ambitious effort because seeing these tanks, they are adapted after the size of the parcels. So this is not something you can double the production. And as well, I mean, a lot of rosé used to be produced when you couldn't make a good red wine in the old, it was still produced in parts of the world, but this is only one wine being made, which is the Clos du Temple Rosé. So this is really a sacred place and really a game changer for rosé wine, should say.
Yeah, and rosé now, of course, is a trend in the world, and rosé is very amusing because of course, people discover fantastic food and wine pairing with rosé now.
Yeah, and this is very much because I think a lot of rosé being produced is light, fresh, and fruity for aperitif, but this is way beyond it. It's a wine with very intense texture. I like this very, very fine, what you feel from the red wines. I wouldn't say tannin, but the extract rather.
Structure.
Yeah, the structure, the texture, and aromatically, we feel the red notes. I mean, the red plum, the raspberry, but we also have the floral components, the citrus components, and very mouth-filling with great persistency. So this is something that would call for a quite serious when we speak about food and wine.
Yeah, and we want also to keep the promise for the consumers and more importantly for the wine lovers that they can keep this wine in a cellar. Not for 2 or 3 years, but for 10 years and above. And of course, in the next 5 to 10 years, we will be happy to make a vertical tastings and to share with people the aromas and the vintage of this kind of rosé.
Because this is certainly, I mean, it's nice to drink now, but it hasn't seen its full potential yet. People don't really have the habit of aging rosé wines, but this should probably be best in, how long do you think?
I think, between 10 to 15 years. And my passion is to make a food and wine pairing with lobster.
Well, I'm on.
Yeah.
I fully agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you, and let's move to the next wine. We are at Domaine de l'Aigle, Andreas, and we are back because we produce Chardonnay, but we produce also Pinot Noir. We can say that this is the best terroir for Pinot Noir in the Languedoc because of the altitude and the climate is close to Burgundy. And we use the same principle. That means we age the wine in French oak for 12 months. And this is a 2019 vintage, which was a great vintage.
And I mean, you are a big lover of Burgundy, me too. But we can't still. This is a Burgundian style, I would say. And I still, again, when I speak about the limestone, it really imparts, particularly as this ages, you get the hints of truffle. I really like this finely spicy. We have the clove, the orange zest, or the Christmas spices. And however, what I like with this one is it's very, I mean, in terms of approach, it's perhaps more New World because it's a Pinot Noir which is delicious from day one, even though it can taste some older vintages and it really ages well. And it's a very digest style as well. Very silky tannin, very approachable, yet with complexity and layers.
Yeah, I am like you know, I am really a lover of Pinot Noir. And Pinot Noir, you know, is yin and yang. That means you can feel the texture, the structure, and also I say that it's iron hand in a velvet glove. That means you can drink it now, but you can imagine this wine in the next 20 years because the potential is there, and because also Pinot Noir is very good because the evolution is very often fantastic, and we move from primary, you know, fruit to secondary and third, and we develop the aromas. But as you say, year to date, this is already ready to drink.
Very approachable,
Yeah.
very generous.
And what do you recommend for food?
Well, this is one of my favorite grape varieties to pair with food, and I would think this season now we're finding some cèpe mushrooms. And cèpe mushrooms, imagine a classic French gratin with cèpe mushroom, Jerusalem artichokes, potato. If it's a luxurious occasion, you can grate some truffle into there. And then I would serve that with a perfectly roasted chicken again, but or a piece of white meat, a nice pork chop or a nice loin of veal. But I really like those earthy, chalky notes, like the truffle, like the roots.
Are you hungry? Because I am also hungry, and of course now this is the season of the cèpe, and we just had some cèpe yesterday, and I can tell you that with the Pinot Noir is a treat.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's move to the next wine. Andreas, we are back to Sigalus, and you said before that the red is really unique, and of course I can confirm that we have done a blend with 7 grape varieties, with Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, Grenache, Caladoc, and Carignan. And that means it was amusing for me to make a blend between local grapes and international grapes. What do you think?
I think this is a wine that is gaining much more depth with age, and I suppose, I mean, one part you feel the Bordeaux side, the Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, you get that ripe cassis, you get the aromatic sage, but then we also have the Southern French, the meaty, spicy dark fruit of the Syrah. And of course, for many of these grape varieties, they are always best in a blend rather than single varieties. Caladoc is, by the way, if I do recall, Grenache Malbec,
yes,
blended in the area here,
yes,
which is something you don't really see in a lot of places, mainly in Languedoc. And I speak too much, I must taste the wine too.
Yeah, you know, I want to say that this wine for me is multidimensional. That means you have the verticality, the horizontality, and the depth, as well as you can deliver unique experience. Because, of course, this kind of blend is unique, and also the terroir is very distinctive. And my passion was for the white and the red to think out of the box. That means very often when you are in the appellation, you have to play with the varietal of the appellations. But when you are in a free zone like this, in an IGP, you say, okay, I do my own vision and I try to create the best one as possible for coming from the place. And for me it's amusing because especially for new consumers, the millennials, they really enjoy this kind of wine.
And I think that this is a wine because I've been following this for quite a long time now, and it's every year is gaining in complexity. I mean, it was always a powerful wine, but now I think it's gaining more in the elegance and the nuance. And I like this duality between the savory, firmer Bordeaux variety fruit and the more spicy, generous southern French aspect of it. So it's really a treat. Very harmonious tannins.
You understand why he's the best sommelier in the world, yes? Because who can say with this kind of, words, how do you can play between the oceanic culture coming from Bordeaux and the Mediterranean culture? I just want to reveal it, and this guy, he explained to you all the detail. This is a chance for us today. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's move to the next wine. Château L'Hospitalet Red. This is a unique blend of the local grapes. Of course, number 1 Syrah, number 2 Grenache, number 3 Mourvèdre. We are in the limestone terroir, and Château L'Hospitalet, is very distinctive because of the terroir, because of the proximity of the ocean. And we are very fortunate because we host here at Château L'Hospitalet 200,000 people per year. This is really what we call a destination winery. And, but for me, the most important thing is to create great wine. And of course, we are happy because we have been elected with the 2017 vintage by the International Wine Challenge, the best red in the world. But more importantly, we are happy because people really enjoy the Château L'Hospitalet in more than 100 countries now. And the message of the wine is really to deliver the Mediterranean lifestyle to people, and also to have, to celebrate this culture. What do you think?
Well, this is a wine which is, you feel, well, when you see the place, you even feel the taste of the wine more, because this is, to me, a great expression of Syrah from limestones. And I was walking in the vineyards this morning, and the grapes look fantastic. And what I love here, particularly as this ages a bit, it's a lot of red wines, particularly from limestone, they develop these notes of black truffle. I'm already feeling a hint of it here. And then, of course, we get a bit more of the roundness from the Grenache and those gorgeously spicy notes from the Mourvèdre. And once again, I said this about the white, but it's a very sunny place. We do have the ripeness, but you always have these refreshing winds, which is imparting a nice fresh bite on the finish.
Yeah, and of course, because of the limestone, we salivate. That means when you finish the glass, you can ask for another one, because your mouth is still fresh, which is very important because we are in the south of France, we are close to the sea, but because of the terroir and because also of the biodynamic principle, we keep the freshness. And you can drink this bottle now, but you can keep in your cellar for the next 30 to 40 years, and you will develop different kind of aromas.
Do you know what the perfect dish with this would be, Gérard?
No.
Very often when we speak about food and wine, we speak about scallops, lobster, truffle. It's not, on your everyday staple. To me, one of my favorite dishes, it would be a bacon and cheeseburger, but good meat, like a chuck roll, brisket, caramelized onion, a nice brioche bun, vieux comté or gruyere, or a top cheese like that. Should we try that?
Yeah, and I will ask my chef to make one for tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's move to the last one.
En me promenant ici, en 1997, je suis tombé sous le charme de la magie et de la beauté de ce lieu, et j'ai tout de suite eu l'inspiration de créer un vin unique. La force de la nature ramène à l'humilité dans la trilogie de la vigne, de l'olivier et du chêne. Au vieux Carignan et Grenache, il suffisait d'ajouter de la Syrah et du Mourvèdre afin de réaliser un assemblage typiquement du sud de la France. Il fallait donc donner une âme à ce lieu et nous avons pris la décision de rénover cette ancienne bergerie et de l'appeler Clos d'Ora, qui symbolise le lien entre l'alpha et l'oméga, l'infiniment grand et l'infiniment petit, le microcosme et le macrocosme. Notre engagement pour la biodiversité et le respect des générations futures nous a permis d'aller plus loin que la culture en biodynamie en rajoutant l'intervention du cheval et du mulet et donc en évitant toute traction mécanique, ce qui favorise avec ce sol d'une grande souplesse la connexion entre les forces telluriques et les forces cosmiques. Le vin est un breuvage multidimensionnel. Il peut parfois être porteur d'un message. Celui du Clos d'Ora est paix, amour, harmonie.
Guys, this is the last wine of the tasting of this masterclass. The last, but not the least. Clos d'Ora 2018, for my opinion, is the best vintage that we have done since we started in 2012. It was an exceptional vintage, and it was important for me, as we did for Clos du Temple for the Rosé, to create a very unique red wine in this place and in this area. And I'm fully, committed for this terroir of Minervois-la-Livinière.
But it took you a long time. You were very stubborn or very patient. I don't. Maybe both.
Yeah, both.
Because
Yeah.
before you waited 17 years or something.
Yeah, sometimes people say, "Oh, Gérard take very quick decision," but for this project, I wait for 17 years, and of course, we reveal the first vintage in 2012, and now we are very happy to promote the unique South of France experience in the world with the Clos d'Ora.
And of course, I know you work with your old friend Jean-Claude Berrouet, who made Petrus for 40 years. Small estate in Pomerol, if you happen to know that. And when you taste it, particularly with age, I was drinking mature vintage last week, and it certainly showed that influence of Pomerol, because this is kind of the opposite of a lot of wines from the area. This is not about ripeness and power. This is so much about finesse, nuance, and elegance. Perfectly silky tannin, very meticulous vinification. Oak is really not noticeable. I know it's aged in oak, but you don't really feel it. So it's very much, if you should talk about the discreet and elegant style, it's a great.
Yeah, it's Andreas mentioned that, of course, sometimes we use some friends in order to make some tasting. And this is very important for me because my father teach me the blending, and I spend thousands of hours with him in order to learn about his experience. And I like to share my experience and also to cross experience with Jean-Claude Berrouet from Bordeaux, with my friend, with also Kyriakos from Burgundy, because these people, they have a lot of humility, and they want to share with me and my team, with Ghislain, with Charmian, and with the director of the estate, their knowledge, as well as their vision. And this is important for me. And when we create the first vintage in 2012, Jean-Claude told me, okay, Gerard, complexity, it's great, but elegance is even better. And that's why, I'm very happy because vintage after vintage, we keep this message of complexity and elegance from the south of France.
And this is really showing as well. I think, I mean, compared to it, grape blend is quite similar to what we have here in La Clappe, but a completely different terroir, Minervois La Livinière, so higher altitude, also limestone, particularly for the Syrah, but it's a completely diametrically or very different expression.
Guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this masterclass with Mr. Andreas Larsson and myself. I hope you enjoy as well the wine, and I hope you will keep the bottle to share with your friend today or tomorrow. I cannot wait to see you soon, and I wish you a great evening. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.
Salut.